Korea Zerlo. Sean Ford.
My name is Sean Ford, and I represent 3 individuals who are property owners on Gore Way. I have to commend all the councillors here tonight on at least being attentive, listening to the many views and concerns, and I think your task is a difficult one, and that's what I wish to address. I think you've heard good and sufficient reason why you shouldn't proceed with the decision for Site 6A or B. I don't think those reasons have anything to do with whether or not Ronto has allowed someone to drill or not to drill, but I think there are two factors only that have to be considered: the process and the information available to you. A, the process has been shown to be defective. It has been demonstrated here tonight beyond a doubt that the process used and the process that you will have to continue using to make your decision on April 16th is not one which has any credibility. Secondly, the information you have before you could be biased, is biased, in the way it is presented. You as elected representatives and the staff of the region of Peel have a responsibility to your constituencies. I don't have to preach on what your responsibilities are, although I think it might be a good idea to review it in some sense. If you are to proceed on April 16th and decide that Site 6A and 6B are the appropriate sites for the dump site, you will have, in my mind, and after listening to the information presented, committed something which in politics and in service to the community and in public service is immoral and not ethical. That is not to say that you are immoral or unethical people, but the act that you would commit would be. It would be, again, referring back to those 2 items that I mentioned earlier, the process and the information available to you. No one tonight has mentioned housing values. They need not be mentioned because of the 2 issues that I've outlined. So, as politicians and as public servants, you have been raised to a level of great responsibility. The public has come out and said, I trust you to do what is right, what is fair, and they've outlined their reasons here tonight, and I think very well. But I have a fear. I have a fear that this site may be, in fact, decided upon. So let us look beyond the region of Peel, and let us look at the province of Ontario. Since June 2nd, 1985, the Environment Minister has moved to create an environment in Ontario which is safe, which is sound, which is clean. From the information before you tonight, deciding on Site 6A and B would go against that policy of making Ontario better. And Brampton, I don't have to say this, Brampton is an important and integral part of Ontario. You are, in my mind, in contravention of the Environment Act, and I think it would be good for the Region of Peel solicitors to review that before you proceed any further. You see, my friends, there are a number of issues that I think must be explored more fully, more adequately, more completely before you make any decision on April 16th. And I don't think leaving yourself from this day until next week or the week after is going to give your staff, your solicitor, and yourselves the opportunity to review the information. Now, I've seen the information. It does stand approximately 2.5 feet high, and that's a lot to digest. It's a lot for the staff to present to you. I had a hard time digesting just some of it. But as difficult as that is, we must pay tribute to the residents who have come forth tonight in large numbers and taken bits and pieces and presented their critique of that information. No one wants a dump site in their backyard. We know that. Everyone here knows that. No one's complaining on the basis that it's in my community and I just don't want it there because it doesn't look nice. But we know what the effects are in specific to Site 6A A and B. You know what they are, you know what they are. A councilor mentioned about 4 or 5 presentations ago that the issue of negligence was not one which they would have to deal with because Ronto did not let them drill. And that may be fair, but the issue of negligence is not limited to whether Ronto decides that they're going to let someone drill or not drill. Again, it is specifically dealing with the process and the data that is before you. And if you're not going to deal with proper information, if you're not going to deal with this issue in the round, but are going to take bits and pieces and try to blend those together to make a decision, that is negligent. I don't have to tell you this because you're public servants. You receive reports all the time. You know what the process is. You know what your responsibility is. You took an oath, and I have no doubt in my mind that all of you have served that oath well. But to continue to do that, I think you're going to have to delay your decision. And I don't really care what the lobbying efforts have been to put that dump in. And I don't care about the meetings and the phone calls that you've received over this dump saying, we've got to get that dump in. We need a place to put our garbage. The public trust is given to you. You exercise it well.
Point of order?
And
You want to be on the list.
I have no doubt that you're going to continue to do so, because I know that in your hearts and in your minds, you're all dedicated to what is best for everyone. And as difficult as the installation of this site is going to be, I firmly believe in all of you that that's what's going to take place. That's what's going to come out. And so perhaps on April 16th, we won't see a decision from you. That's okay. But the decision that you make based on a better process, and the decision that you make based on a better range or amount of information is going to be beneficial to everyone. There will be no question in someone's mind, well, did they have the right information? Was the process the right process? We know that both of those are questionable at this point. And I would ask that the tools that you will need to make this decision, for all of you to be able to say we made the right decision on the right information, I don't think those tools are before you now. And I would ask all of you, I would implore upon all of you to take the time, to wait, to be patient, to make a decision over something that will be around 40 years is something that I think can wait beyond April 16th. Thank you.
A question, Mayor McConnell. I
represent 3 individuals who own property on Goreway Drive by the last names of Chardulo, Leonardo, and Di Benedetto. And in reference to 2 of those owners, Di Benedetto and Leonardo live on J Field, which is in the city of Brampton, and is also located close to the site.
I think they're in the audience.
The large landholders?
No, it's a very small piece on Goreway.
I would hope, Mr. Chairman, that the immoral and unethical comment is in this gentleman's opinion. I would like you to state that.
I will state, Your Honor, that the immoral and unethical decision that would be taken on the information before you. In
Well,
my opinion,
okay.
the information is
In your
inadequate.
opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Well, that's very helpful to qualify that.
Thank you.
And I would also like to know what confidence that you have in the Ministry of Environment. I've been dealing with it for some 10, 15, 18 years, and I'd like to know what new thing has come that you have established such great confidence.
I think the activities of the Ministry of the Environment since 1985 have been shown, at least to me, and in my mind, and perhaps in the minds of some of the councillors seated around the table, to be of a more active and dedicated nature to solving some major issues in Ontario. And those issues have been brought to the forefront of public interest, and it could have been timing, it could be because of the hard work of many environmental groups in Ontario as well, and a collaboration of those. Yet environmental issues, I think, are in the forefront today in the minds of all public legislators. And it's an issue for tonight. I think it's an issue that's not going to go away for some time.
Okay,
Yes,
sufficient.
I would agree that it's in the mind. Sometimes it takes action to implement
I agree with you, Your Honor, and I hope the action will be appropriate enough to protect the environment at Sites 6A and B.
Yeah, well, I would ask, Mr. Chairman, that this gentleman take the time to talk to some members of the council on their experience with the Ministry of the Environment over the last few years.
Well,
I hope
Your Honor,
you'll do
with all
that
due
privately.
respect, if I may respond, Mr. Chairman, I don't think the ministry is on trial here. I don't think any comments are needed. I think it's important that we all want a clean environment, and I think it should be left at that.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I have two left. Mrs. Gaglies? How would I put it?
Gagliese.
Thank you. And Mr. Sampson? Oh, I have three. Sampson on deck. Go
Okay,
ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, I have a copy of my report, and I will be referring to the maps at the back as map 2.
That's being circulated. Go ahead.
Okay, as map 2 and 3, if you could
Okay.
look on with
Sure.
me. Okay, I'm a student of Mayfield Secondary School. I'm in grade 13, and I live in Caledon East. And I feel that as a student, we need to voice our opinion, because we will be greatly affected by the proposed landfill site. Okay, there are 1,400 students enrolled now, and at the end of 40 years, more than 12,000 students will pass through Mayfield. There are many aspects of the site that will disrupt our present school life. The school runs along Mayfield Road. As outlined in the report, the refuse haul routes are also along Mayfield Road. That's on map 3. Okay, there are 6 portables, only 15 feet from Mayfield Road. From personal experience, if a large vehicle passes by, we are unable to hear the teacher. The trucks carrying the garbage all day long would be a constant interruption and would make it impossible to carry on classes in these portables. The student parking lot also has its entrance and exit on Mayfield Road. The traffic would make it hazardous to the students coming in and out. Students are also bused to and from school daily. They unload and pick up students in the student parking lot as well. There are 85 school buses that come and go from the school on a daily basis. Therefore, there would be cars, school buses, and garbage trucks together. This would only cause a chaotic and hazardous situation on a daily basis. These are only some of the problems that these children will be faced with. Also in 1985, the school built an outdoor eating area. There are many picnic tables surrounded by beautiful landscaping and views of the countryside. This is a popular spot for all students and is as important to our social education as our classroom studies. The interaction between students is very high and has created a very healthy school environment. Also, during the warm months, the physical education classes are held outside. The football, baseball, and soccer fields all face Mayfield Road. Imagine for a moment exercising or playing sports when the air outside is filled with pollutants. The dust alone can cause asthma and other respiratory problems. The noise and the debris will also disrupt this aspect of school life. I've spoken to many students, and they all agree that this site is unfair to us. All we ask is that you study in greater detail the effects on the school. School to us is like our second home. We spend a lot of time there, and we want to keep it a pleasant place to be. In the report, the school was looked at, but not in great depth. School is very important and should be a clean and healthy place to grow and learn. With this site, it will become a dampened environment in which no one wants to spend 8 hours a day in. So before you dump, please think of the children and their children, because this dump is for our lifetime.
Thank you for your presentation. Mr. Sampson, is he available? I hope we paid our hydro bill, Mr. Mayor. What? It's right here. Oh. Maybe he'll give us an extension. Mr. Sampson, welcome.
My name is Mr. Sampson. I live on Bramley Road. I don't think we should put a dump on site 6 on account of the hospital site. If we're going to have a hospital, we need fresh air for these people. We don't need garbage air. I'm sure the region should find another spot for a dump, or let's find another spot for a hospital, which is going to be. We have 46 acres there. It's been put there for years, and it's a good spot for a hospital. It's not because I live next to it. I bought my land before the hospital was there. Even the suggestion for a hospital was there. the water wells that we had, we were talking about the water wells before, the water wells in the former township of Chincoosea should be preserved. I agree on that 100%. We had one Chernobyl disaster. We could have another. The water leak in Niagara, it could happen there. So if we're not going to protect our water system and have those wells really looked after, and they should be kept in order also, working condition. It's a vital system, and it should be in effect. Now, the Davis government took our township away from us and gave it to Brampton, as I see it. I'm asking if the Liberal government could give us back our township and ban regional government, both, while we're at it.
Order.
I'm only asking. As I see it, we're going to have 40 years of garbage in our backyard, and we've already had 10 or 12 years on the 27 side road, which is Chincoosea Township. We had Professor's Lake for 5 years also, as I understand it. I think it's to be putting another dump over there, it's going to be a catastrophe. If not anything, everything else is going to go with it also.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think Mayor McCallion's going to second your motion to ban regional government. I'm not sure. Mayor McCallion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just wondered if this gentleman was aware of the fact, was aware of the fact that the Davis government also put Brampton's garbage in Mississauga by forming regional government.
Well, if he wasn't, he is now. Mr. Mario Pompilio. Mario Pompilio. Is he here? You have the dubious pleasure of batting last.
Good evening,
Have attention,
Mr.
please.
Chairman and council members. My name is Mario Pompilio. I speak to you on behalf of the taxpayers in the town of Caledon, who will be adversely affected by the dump site number 6. Our concerns and complaints are directed towards the council members from Caledon who represent us on the Region of Peel Council. A petition was presented to Mr. Pellet, our councilman, opposing the selection of Site 6 as a dump site.
Speak up a little bit if you could.
Okay, sorry. A petition was presented to Mr. Pellet, our councilman, opposing the selection of Site 6 as a dump site. He refused to sign or support our position. Mr. Pellet's lack of concern for the needs of the people in the area is captured in a comment made to me during a telephone conversation. I quote, "Better there than in your backyard." He was implying that the dump site may move north of Mayfield Road. Mr. Pellet must be aware that a 40-year dump site was never a consideration for the town of Caledon area. The main concern here is why did Mr. Pellet refuse to support his own constituents on this matter? It is my understanding that a similar petition was left for Mayor Cobb, and the only indication that it had been received was through a newspaper report. As elected officials, it is your responsibility to inform the constituents on the whys and wherefores of the dump. Why then was there no representation by a Caledon councilman at any of the ratepayers' meetings held since the matter was made public? 2 Brampton officials had the courage to face their constituents on this issue. Why didn't Caledon? 3 years ago, a consultant's report recommended a site near an industrial area located in southwestern Brampton. The council voted overwhelmingly against the proposed site without proper testing. Why did all 5 Caledon councillors vote against the site before proper testing was done, forcing the region to look for alternative costs, thus causing further taxes on their constituents? I add, why did all 5 Caledon councillors vote with Mississauga against their neighbor Brampton in choosing Site 6 for further consideration when other sites were defeated without proper testing and knowing that Site 6 is adjacent to Caledon property? Furthermore, the majority of the students attending Mayfield Secondary School are bused. The risk of being involved in a motor vehicle accident with one of the 800 to 900 garbage trucks traveling towards the dump site will increase dramatically. Was this not a major consideration before selection of a dump site was made? We urge our council members to perform the duties as elected officials who represent their electorate to whom they are responsible and defeat the proposed dump site number 6. Failure in doing so is a clear indication of irresponsible government and representation. This will not be forgotten at election time by the constituents. Based on this evening's presentations and issues, I appeal to all council members to reconsider their positions and vote against the proposed dump site number 6.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Cole.
I don't really have a question, but I think that the record should be straight, sir. You should get your facts straight before you make a presentation to this meeting of council. I'd like you to know that I was at the meeting at the Castlemore Golf Course last week. We also had a delegation from the Quantico area of about 200 people at our council meeting in regards to Site D, when Site D was put on the board. And I've also attended 4 or 5 council meetings and public meetings in regards to the expansion of the Almy landfill site, which is now where your garbage goes. Don't give us this crap. The Calum representation are not interested in the site.
Well,
Okay, order. No, I can't have dialogue. I'm sorry. You made your point. The mayor chose to reply. Councillor Cullum? Order.
He was aware that there were costs for removal of Site B. He missed that fact.
Yeah, maybe he'd like to chat with you after we're almost concluded, David. I think the answer is no.
I'm wondering if that could be made available to the
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank all presenters for the excellent job they did. I'd like to thank the audience for their patience and for their endurance and the conduct. The matters, as you know, is here for presentation tonight. So all I really have before me is to confirm the proceedings and an adjournment. Mayor McCallion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question to you.
Yes.
To staff. After hearing some of the presentations tonight, there are certainly some erroneous statements in regard to the report that concerns me. That's what I said. Briefing on the report, I read the report, and I think it's serious. And I'm just wondering how we will deal with that.
Well, yes. I would hope.
How will we?
Well, that's why I particularly asked that all of those who presented tonight, if they could let us have copies of their script, because I think obviously most of that can be replied to, certainly where they had specific questions, where they were in error on the facts.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's not just your question I'm concerned about.
No.
I am concerned about some of the statements that are contrary to what's in the report.
Well, I think that, again,
Definitely
yeah.
pick that up.
Well, that's right. We were making notes, and we'll have the script, and we'll have the opportunity to respond to
In
them.
all fairness to them,
Yeah.
I think that if there's one thing we
Yeah.
can do is communicate to them the facts.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I think we need to do that.
How are we going to handle it?
Well, I think that's a matter for discussion. I'm telling you, if we have all of that documented before us, we'll have the opportunity to reply to them in writing in response, as we've done before, I might add.
16th is what I'm concerned
Well, not prior to the 16th, which maybe we're going to have to discuss whether we deal with it on the 16th or not. But that'll be a subject for this council to discuss. I'm open to suggestion as we are. Yeah.
If time is going to be able to get that
Yeah.
information back to us, I think it's very essential. I don't think anybody should be under misunderstanding of the report,
Mhm.
but it is a very complicated report. I think that we should make an effort to make sure that before we make a decision on the 16th, that information is communicated.
I think we all share your concern. Councillor Robertson.
Mayor, just before moving adjournment for this evening, I'd like to commend constituents in Grafton, particularly for the fine research and very sincere presentation tonight. No matter what your view of where the site should be, I think you all would likely nod that they did a fine job, not only by their conduct, but
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Chairman, I was going to basically say the same thing. In 10 years, I think that we've seen probably the best of its reputation. It's an issue that Margaret has got very much in the hands of these days. And quite clearly, they should all be treated as the best research also.
I think, as I've said before, and I think I speak on behalf of council, that I think we'll have to deal with that issue that you've dealt with, Mayor McCallion, and we'll get, if those people, I think Mr. Barrett said we'd have it by the end of the week. It's getting tired, Reg, it's getting late. Have it by the end of the week, and we'll get staff working on those responses. But clearly, when that matter comes before council, that will be a subject in the debate, that to make sure, because I'm sure we all want to make sure that the residents have full information, whether they agree with us or not, or whether they agree with whatever the ultimate decision is or not. It shouldn't be said that there was closure to the fact of providing you information, because I think, in fairness to the staff, through all of this process, that's one of the things we've been proud of as we've gone through this, with the workshops we've had here that many of you have participated in. I look around the room and see some who have a reserved pew in this council chamber, and attending all those meetings and the workshops, and I think we want to make sure that that continues, that there's not an apparent closure. So that'll be a subject of discussion. I have a motion moved by Mayor Willems and seconded by Councillor Taylor that confirm the proceedings of council. Shall it carry? Same movers and seconders, that council now adjourn. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.